Welcome to another edition of the Daily Reflector Football Forecast. I'm your host, Ronnie Woodward, joined by Tony Castleberry, our sports editor, Jim Gentry. Guys, I mentioned, 5-10 minutes ago, I'm feeling good today. I think this is the best show we're ever going to do.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it's always good to start out with like a bold claim like that.
I'm calling my shot.
Okay. I'm with
Jim
it.
should be the one talking probably because he's undefeated on his pick so far.
And won't let us stop hearing about it.
Yeah.
You guys see the tattoo I got, 16-0 or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
I think it ends this week though. Tough slate of games.
It is. It is a tough slate for sure. All right, let's start it off, Tony. First game, a pretty big game here. A hot team, North Pitt, even though they're only 3-2, they're traveling to a tough team at Tarboro.
Yeah, every year we say it, and it seems like every year North Pitt plays Tarboro tougher. I know last year it was a close game until Tarboro kind of pulled away late. But Tarboro, I mean, what can you say? They just continue to be arguably the best team in 2A year in, year out. They bring a 4-0 record in. They're always huge.
Yep.
I remember watching a game a couple years back in Bethel, and I swear, North Pitt's biggest guy, maybe could have possibly been on their offensive line, but I doubt it. They had 4 or 5 300-pounders. In a 2A level, that is tough to beat.
Definitely. Who's your pick there?
Tarboro's, I think, will win. I mean, at home, North Pitt will bring a lot of confidence in there. Again, it'll probably be similar to last year. They'll probably hang with them for a little while. Tarboro's just too big and too strong.
Yeah. Jim?
I'm going to go with Tarboro also. I think it'll be a competitive game, like Tony said, like last year. But Tarboro's at home, and their offense is just really clicking right now. But I think we're going to look at this is a great test for North Pitt.
Yep.
Having come off a great test last week, and this is just going to make them better for the stretch run.
I agree. I'm going to go with Tarboro, and I think I looked at North Pitt's schedule yesterday. I think they get on a run here pretty soon. I think there's a stretch of games coming up where they can win 3, 4, maybe 5 in a row. But, man, you follow up Conley with Tarboro. I think they can keep it close, but I don't think they can win that one. Next game, Jim, speaking of Conley, D.H. Conley is at West Craven.
Talk about another offense that's clicking right now, and now they seem to be healthy with the Gorham kid back and Cummings back. They've got the Pascal kid who can run the ball. It reminds me of some of those Aiden Grifton teams where they have 14 guys who can carry the ball and rush for 100 yards.
Yep.
And this is kind of a big game, though, with this being a conference game and going on the road. But right now, even though North Pitt gave them a challenge, Conley is really clicking right now.
Yeah.
Definitely. Who's your pick with that?
I got to go with Conley, and I think I'm going to go with them up until that Havelock game, and we'll see. I'm not sure who I took in that one at this point, but I just don't think anybody in this conference is going to beat them, besides maybe Havelock, because we're the only competition for them at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Conley as well. That Havelock game is looming for sure, so maybe you think, hey, this is a trap game. They're down a little bit, but I think the best thing to do is them to get an early lead, take care of business, and move on with Havelock coming up quickly. Tony, who's your pick with that one?
Conley's played in some high-scoring games this year, and I just saw on the sheet here that West Craven's only averaging a couple of touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not going to be a shootout. I feel like it'll be a one-sided shootout, and I think Conley will win it.
Okay, Tony, next game, West Carter at South Central, a team you've seen once or twice.
I've seen them 2 weeks in a row, and last week, I mean, we ultimately don't care who wins or loses. That's our job not to care. But I felt so bad for South Central and Coach Carter last week, the way they lost. Last-second field goal, controversial 40-yard pass to set up that last-second field goal. Everybody on South Central's side swore up and down the guy was out of bounds. Ref said he was in. It was a game that South Central honestly should have won. They outplayed the other team and lost on a last-second field goal. So, tough luck for that team. They've really taken their lumps. But there are signs that team can be good. They just have yet to put it all together.
I agree, yeah. Who's your pick with that one?
I'm going to pick South Central. I picked them last week and almost seemed prophetic. I was within, that last-second kick of getting that game right. I feel like they're going to get it on track. And one thing about Coach Carter, he is not afraid to switch up his scheme. They went from throwing it 35 times against Rose to rushing it 36 times last week. He'll go with whatever game plan is going to work. I feel like South Central will get off the schneid this week.
All right, Jim?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with South Central, too. West Cartwright's got the better record coming in, but that's a team that lost to Swansboro. You look at what South Central's done this year, who they played against.
Right.
And to go on with what Tony just said, with their being able to change styles, at some point they're going to be able to do both in one game.
There you go.
They're going to blow somebody out.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're finding success, obviously, last week running the ball.
Yes.
And then they're not afraid to throw the ball either. So at some point they're going to put a lot of points on the board. I think it's going to click for them. And I think this will be a good chance. They're playing at home. They're probably going to have a little chip on their shoulders.
Big
so
time.
I think they're going to come out and get a big win.
All right. I hate to keep piling on the Falcons. I'm going to go with West Carteret in this one. I mentioned Jim the other day that the thing that stands out to me on our sheet here is West Carteret won this game 28-12 last year. I know there's different year, different teams, and all that, but I mean I think there's something to say they won that game pretty handily. I hate to pick against our Falcons, but I'm going with West Carteret in that one. Who's next? Jim?
Jim's next.
Jim is next.
Our best show ever, folks. Our best show
Pamlico
ever.
at Aiden Grifton.
Yeah, I saw Aiden Grifton play last week against Farmville Central, and while obviously Farmville Central's struggling, so it's hard to get a good idea of where Aiden Grifton's at, I will tell you they have a lot of talent on that team.
Yep.
And Coach Cornwell's been saying all year is penalties and turnovers because they're a young team. But the amount of talent on that team is not in question.
Yeah.
They have 3 or 4 guys who can run the ball. They got a good play on the lines. I'm pretty impressed with them, and if they ever get it all figured out as far as penalties and turnovers go, they're going to be a monster.
Yeah.
It's just, and then you're talking about a Pamlico team that's winless coming in.
Yeah.
I think we're really going to see Aiden Grifton's offense click again.
Definitely. Picking Chargers in that
I
one.
think this is a no doubter. If they play anywhere close to as well as they did last week. But, that's the thing with a young team, though. Turnovers and penalties can certainly turn a game around real quick and can really hurt you regardless of talent. But I think this week, I just don't see Pamlico being a contest for them.
I agree. Pamlico hasn't scored double digits in a single game, this year. I just don't think they can keep up. As you said, I think the Chargers really hit a home run this week and get a lopsided victory. What about you, Tony?
Pamlico will definitely come in hungry with that 0 in the win column. They're going to want to win. They're just going to be outmatched. As Jim mentioned, Aiden Griffin can hit you from so many different directions offensively. And those mistakes that you mentioned, Cornwell's teams get better as they go every year, and they'll continue to cut down on those things and just get better as they go along. I think Aiden Grifton wins easy.
It's hard to go against great coaching and talent.
Yeah, right?
You can't coach turnovers, all those turnovers and some of those penalties out of there. But there's no doubt about those 2 areas. Aiden Griffin's always just aces in those departments.
Especially at the 1A level once they get into this portion of the season. Tony, last game here, take us home. Rocky Mount at J.H. Rose.
Always a fun matchup between 2 rivals. You look at Rose's record; they're 1-3. Kind of been a tough year for them. I really don't know what their identity is. I don't know if they're going to lean on the defense, on the offense. They've got several question marks at different areas. Rocky Mount brings a 4-0 record in, but Ronnie, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, one of those is a forfeit. So, don't really know a whole heck of a lot about them either. This should be a good game, particularly with it being at Rose. Rose will be up for this game if they're not going to be up for anyone the rest of the year.
All right, what's your pick for that one?
It's tough, but I'm going to pick Rocky Mount. It seems to me they got a little bit more firepower. It may take another game or two. Rose coming off a really bad loss at New Bern, but we expected that because New Bern's so good. I don't know if they can rebound in time. I think Rocky Mount will win.
Okay, Jim?
I'm still going back and forth on this one, but one thing I'm going to go with Rose in this one. I think having played all these powerhouses is actually going to help them.
That's true.
Point.
Yeah.
And then maybe this will be the week. Playing at home will help. Rocky Mount's coming back from a pretty tight game with Southwest Edgecombe. So maybe things will click this week with Rose, and maybe playing at home will help them out. They're not playing in New Bern this week. I think that'll help.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go with Rose as well. I think if they don't win this one, they could be in a long year. When they hit that conference schedule in a couple weeks, you have New Bern again, you have the Wilmington schools. This is a game I think they really need to win. They have it at home. I think it's going to be really the most entertaining game that we have this week, but I'm going to go with the Rampants in a close one. So there's our games. There's our picks for this week. Grab the paper on Saturday at checkreflector.com, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome.